Blue Lock is currently going wild, as in this chapter, Onazi awakens a new type of eyes, not to mention that Aayiku might have awakened the most broken ability we have ever seen in the manga. Alright, starting off this chapter, also called Afterglow, we see the ball, which was sent by Kuso in the previous chapter. It's coming closer and closer to Onazi right now, but even with that in mind, it won't be easy for him, as he has Aayiku right ahead of him, who is going to hold him down. Aayiku gets out his meta vision and thinks that this will be a one-on-one at the goal box as he looks at the pass and sees that it's a spot-on cross pass. He even breaks his silence and says that it stings, but after that, we see him looking super fired up as he has an aura all around him as he thinks that if he stops Onazi here, then this match will end peacefully. We then see Onazi right underneath him, who isn't going to go easy on Aayiku and is far from it, as he looks completely locked into the game. After that, Aayiku once again flexes with his meta vision eyes and says that Onazi's shot radius is huge and he very well knows that he's got to brace himself for a possible mid-air shot. He sees Onazi and the ball coming closer to each other and thinks about all the possible positions where Onazi could take the shot from, and Aayiku breaks it down to 4 possible shot patterns. He starts to look a bit worried as he says that it means that his odds for stopping him are 1 in 4. But suddenly Onazi looks to his right, where he sees none other than a wild ISAGI sprinting with all that he can towards them. He says that he's 1 step ahead and calls Onazi a shining bastard. Aayiku seems super surprised by this guest visit by ISAGI, but ISAGI on the other hand looks super manic as he has puzzle pieces all around him, and also his metavision eyes out as he says that he's going to crush this shot course. Aayiku then focuses his attention on ISAGI as he looks at him and compliments him, but also calls him a puppy. We then get back to Aayiku's brain as he says that ISAGI's ramming into Onazi to cut off that course. This means that if he wants to shoot from that position, then he's only got one option. Aayiku looks super determined as he goes towards them and thinks that he can crush and stop Onazi now, as he has boiled down that the odds of stopping him are 1 in 1. However, Onazi quickly notices that Aayiku is close in, and because of that, he does everything he can to slightly change his body's direction, which makes the ball hit his chest and bounce off it. Aayiku, who even had his metavision eyes out, is totally mind-blown, as he can't believe that Onazi twisted his body to then make a reverse chest trap. ISAGI also looks at this pretty shocked, and thinks that Onazi's never done anything like that before, and thinks that he threw off his press timing, but still, he thinks that they should be pretty fine, as the goal is behind them after all. However, it isn't going to play out as ISAGI wants it to, as Onazi all of a sudden looks to be a karate master, as he legitimately takes some distance before he jumps up and spins around mid-air to then face the ball. ISAGI is just looking at him like he has to be kidding. He even says damn, and thinks that Onazi revived the lost shot course. He then takes his metavision eyes out once again and says that he's awakened. Kuso also looks towards Onazi and can't believe his eyes at the sight of this newly awakened beast, as he says that this is a new Onazi, but the one who has to be the most shocked out of all of them has to be Onazi, who we can see is actually unlocking Predator eyes just like that in the heat of the match. Onazi can't believe the feeling that he is feeling and says that inside him, there's still a part of him that can make him this excited. After that, he does this insane shot, and honestly, this panel is just wild, it looks so insanely good. However, just when you thought that Onazi would get a goal and somewhat prove the fraud allegations wrong, it all comes crashing down as we see Aayiku, who has a huge smile on his face as he tells Onazi that his talent's blooming, but that he is also blooming. And because of that, we can clearly see that Aayiku managed in the last split second to just slightly touch Onazi's shot, which directed the shot away. Onazi also pulls this funny looking face as he can't believe what just happened. Just when he thought that he had awakened and would score, he just gets completely shut down. He looks at the shot and thinks that Aayiku deflected it and wonders how that's even possible. So let's get into how that is possible then. As we get into Aayiku's brain, who says that ISAGI spurred on their enemy's awakening, while at the same time firing up Aayiku himself. He explains that to be fully honest, they had no idea what kind of awakening would happen, but he was signaling that he should expect a play that they have never seen before. And it's all thanks to that mindset that his toes were waiting for that instant to react, and he calls it a new type of predictive defense to kill an awakening. And guys, do you hear that? Because that is truly wild, but we'll get more into it later. Anyway, Aayiku looks back towards the ball and tells the ball to miss, while Kuso, funnily enough, tells it to go in. Hey, it's Natsu, mid-editing here, and I just wanted to pause the video to ask you to subscribe if you haven't already, and while you're already down there, why not leave a like as well? However, we then get to the ball, or mainly Gagamaru, who jumps towards it and is going to try and stop it. However, he thinks that this is just too much for him, and it looks like he missed it. But thankfully, the ball hit the crossbar and bounced out, which leaves Kuso looking completely destroyed, which is a bit funny, as I can get behind Kuso slander. However, the Nigeria players that are still in the game and wants to do their all, they all comes rushing towards the ball. Like we even see Oboobona being here right in the front line as he is going to the ball, while Kuso, well, he's pretty much just spectating at this point. Anyway, the Nigerian players breaks through Ryu and Nico, and we see Karasu, Raichi and Ryo all looking super worried as the ball is going towards the goal. However, who else would it be that comes in the last minute and saves the goal if it wasn't the shark boy Kurona, who right as Bello was going to kick it into the goal, Kurona was there to shut him down and stop it from happening. And he looks super cool as he tells them that they are not gonna score. After that, we see the commentators and the crowd being super hyped up as the commentator screams that Ran's Kurona has cleared the ball. After that, we get to the bench where we see Ego, who has a super dark shadow around him, which makes him look like the ultimate anime villain. But anyway, he says that this is a perfect victory. We then see Zantetsu and Nanase being super ecstatic over this save, and we also see Shidu, Baru, Hiyori, and Chigiri all sitting patiently on the bench. Anyway, then back to Ego, who says that the 45 days of training that led to this day, the flawless execution of their various tactics, plus Isagi's top suggestion, and now Rin's new pattern, all led to this. Henri just tries to be supportive and nods and agrees with Ego. After that, we see Onazi looking back towards the ball, and not only he but everyone has their eyes glued towards the ball, while Ego continues his little speech and says that this is the U20 World Cup victory they seek, calling it the ideal first victory for the pack of egoists he's created. He then puts his glasses up, once again just like a supervillain, and compliments Blue Lock on their first match. However, meanwhile, our boy Ego here thinks that it's over. The star boy, Isagi, doesn't really agree as the ball lands directly on his leg, and as he looks totally absorbed in the game, he tells Blue Lock that it isn't over yet, and his puzzle pieces are just going completely wild. Anyway, Ego, who sees this, looks super shocked, which might be the first time we have really seen him super shocked, but he must be blown away by Isagi's insane determination, which I feel like he should be used to at this point. But still, after that, the timer shows that 1 extra minute has been added to the time, and we get back to Isagi, who asks Blue Lock if they are all actually satisfied, and he looks so cool. Sorry for glazing Isagi so much, but like, how could I not when he looks like this? Anyway, that's chapter 324, and luckily for us, there will be no break this week. The next chapter will be called something along the lines of The Student Becomes the Master, or something similar. Now, I don't know why, but always when I hear a title like that, it just feels super cringe. However, as this is Blue Lock, I know that they will somehow completely cook with this, and it will be a banger of a chapter. But let me know down in the comments what you think that it could mean. Anyway, now let's get right into talking about this chapter. Now, I feel like the first thing we should talk about is Onazi's new predator eyes. And if you had told me that he would get them this match, then I would not have believed you at all because this really took me by surprise. However, it does make sense, so I'll give him that. But with that, it makes him the 5th player with predator eyes, I'm pretty sure, as it's him, Rin, Yukimiya, Baru, and Kaiser. I'm pretty sure it's those 5 who have it at the moment. Anyway, now let's move on to Aayiku, who I'm not 100% sure on what his new awakening is, and I'm sure that no one really is. As I mean, we haven't gotten it fully explained, but it said that it's a new type of predictive defense to kill an awakening, and this is just wild as Blue Lock is 80% about awakening, and that someone always scores when they awaken. But if they now has a player who can just shut down awakening, then it's wild. Now of course it said that it's a predictive, so it's going to be far from 100%. But still, even shut down 30% of incoming awakenings is massive, and I really feel like this is a pretty busted ability to have, but I can't wait for it to be explored about further down the line. Lastly, let's talk about the incoming goal, because come on, we all know that Isagi is going to score right here and now. First up, I'm glad that Kurona got his chance to really show off with his save. However, as he was all the way back at the goal zone, I find it hard to see him teaming up with Isagi in a planet hotline, as Isagi is a lot farther up the pitch than what he is. But if they can somehow manage it, then I would be super happy. But if it isn't Kurona who will assist Isagi, then who is it? And if I'm honest, then I'm a bit curious too, if it might be Ryo, and if he somehow is able to copy Kurona's planet hotline and do it instead of him along with Isagi, then that would be totally insane. However, that's where I'll end it for today. But please let me know what you think will happen in the next chapter, and also what you thought about this chapter. I honestly would probably have to give it a good 7 to 8, as it was super solid. Anyway, if you like Blue Lock and videos like this, then I would highly suggest you subscribe to this channel. And while you are at it, leave a comment and a like, as it helps out with the algorithm a ton. And if you're curious to see another video of mine, then please watch the video, which will be popping up on the screen now. Anyway, thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye.